Gandhi's Passion: The Life and Legacy of Mahatma Gandhi by Stanley Wolpert. Chapter 23: Freedom's Wooden Loaf. Why should a third party intervene in a dispute between us brothers? Gandhi asked his Congress friends after returning at their behest to Delhi in late May of 1947. This viceroy is a very intelligent man. He will displease no party and will still have his own way. Mountbatten, Gandhi warned, was an unknown friend much more dangerous to us than known enemies, like his viceregal precursors, Lords Linlithgow and Wavell, for we knew what their policy was. He was asked by his followers in Delhi why Congress was ready to agree to partition, when he said it would be the worst possible thing. Who listens to me today? Gandhi replied. I am being told to retire to the Himalayas. Everybody is eager to garland my photos and statues. Nobody really wants to follow my advice. Partition would destroy India, he passionately argued. The prospect of power has demoralized us. Nehru and Patel told Gandhi that my reading of the situation is wrong and peace is sure to return if partition is agreed upon. He sensed they feared that he had deteriorated with age. He remained certain, however, of the monstrous tragedy awaiting them all on that mine-strewn road of division. Let not the coming generations curse Gandhi for being a party to India's vivisection. Independence with partition, Gandhi warned, would be like eating wooden laddus. If they eat, they will die of colic, and if they don't, they will starve. I have described Jawaharlal as the uncrowned king, Gandhi told his prayer meeting on June 3rd. Yet India remained a poor nation, so poor, as he put it, that its elected leaders should walk rather than ride in cars. One who lives in a palace cannot rule the government. He said it directly to Nehru as well every time they met, urging him and Patel to turn New Delhi's palatial homes and grand office buildings into hostels for homeless refugees, moving themselves into Harijan quarters, such as he occupied, or peasant huts. But none of Delhi's rulers listened any longer to the ravings of an old fool, though not so long before most of them had considered him a saint. Corruption is rampant among the civil servants, Gandhi charged, and ministers of the states were surrounded by wicked persons whom they are not able to control, all of which left inadequate food supplies for the starving, no housing for the naked refugees, and violence and rot throughout Delhi. Some old friends, seeing how disgusted and distressed Gandhi was, urged him to launch satyagraha against Nehru's Raj. But he refused to lead any mass movement against the Congress he once resurrected and long led. I would not carry on any agitation against that institution. He continued to be challenged at prayer meetings, urged to leave Delhi, to retreat as a true sadhu, wise man, should to any cave in the Himalayas. He still hoped with the sublimated powers of his sexual restraint to prevail in his last valiant sacrificial effort to save Mother India from vivisection. A perfect brahmachari never loses his vital fluid, Gandhi explained, reiterating ancient Hindu yogic philosophical faith in the magic powers of male seminal golden fluids, life prolonging as well as life generating, allowing him to never become old in the accepted sense. Intellect will never be dimmed. Gandhi felt that nothing he told Nehru was now acceptable to his former political disciple. The more I contemplate the differences in outlook and opinion between the members of the working committee and me, he wrote Jawaharlal, I feel that my presence is unnecessary even if it is not detrimental to the cause we all have at heart. May I not go back to Bihar in 2 or 3 days? As the death tolls mounted east and west of Delhi, his sense of failure intensified. There is no miracle except love and non-violence, which can drive out the poison of hatred. Gandhi told all pilgrims who attended his evening prayer meetings. I have faith that in time to come, India will pit that against the threat of destruction which the world has invited upon itself by the invention of the atom bomb. To Meera, far away in her ashram in Uttarakashi, he regretfully wrote that mine is a voice in the wilderness, or could it be that I am growing too old and therefore losing my grip over things? To beloved Manu, he admitted, if I did not feel unhappy, I would be a person with a heart of stone. Abha joined them in Delhi that July, though she, like Manu, had been quite sick. Gandhi loved to nurse his daughters back to health, administering mud packs and enema nature cures himself, precisely monitoring their daily diets and hours of sleep. Despite his loving care, however, Manu ran so high a fever from appendicitis that he finally agreed to allow surgery, which saved her life, even as it had his own. Surrender to surgical aid, however, always left him feeling defeated, impotent, and angry. He castigated himself for still getting so angry as to scold Manu. He who has conquered anger has achieved a great victory in life. The Indian Independence Act passed through Britain's Parliament on July 17, 1947. It authorized the partition of British India along boundary lines to be drawn by a commission of Hindu and Muslim jurists, chaired by Sir Cyril Radcliffe, a London barrister. Radcliffe had never seen India before and would never dare to return there after carving out two new borders, one through the middle of Punjab and the other through the heart of Bengal. Mountbatten asked Gandhi to undertake a mission to Kashmir, which Nehru was so eager to do himself that the Viceroy and Patel feared their impulsive Prime Minister would get arrested by yelling at the Maharaja of Kashmir before he officially took charge of India's dominion in New Delhi. Gandhi could not refuse a request to undertake a mission from the Viceroy as well as from the princely states minister, Sardar Patel. His doctors advised Gandhi not to take sick Manu along, but he felt certain that Kashmir's cool climate would benefit her, as would close proximity to himself. Even in her sleep, she is often heard muttering, beseeching me not to leave her behind. How then can I leave her here? So they went up together in early August. Gandhi, determined to head directly east again after completing his delicate mission in Srinagar, to try to convince the Maharaja of Kashmir to accede to India and first to release Sheikh Abdullah from prison. He failed on both points. I am not going to suggest to the Maharaja to accede to India and not to Pakistan, Gandhi wisely announced on the eve of leaving for Srinagar. Kashmir's procrastinating Hindu Maharaja Hari Singh could not make up his mind about whether to join India, whose radical leaders, though Hindu, he feared, or Pakistan, in which most of his predominantly Muslim population would have felt far more at home. The real sovereign of the state are the people of the state. If the ruler is not a servant of the people, then he is not a ruler. Gandhi's conviction was that now the power belongs to the people and therefore the people of Kashmir should be asked whether they want to join Pakistan or India. Let them do as they want. The ruler is nothing, the people are everything. how many lives would have been saved by India and Pakistan, and most of all by the people of Kashmir, if only Nehru had been wise enough to listen to the man he once had considered his political guru. Had independent India the courage to endorse Gandhi's faith in self-determination for Jammu and Kashmir state, it should have agreed to hold plebiscite there immediately, rather than fighting futile wars over the next half century without reaching any agreement with Pakistan as to the fate of Kashmir's long-suffering people. From Kashmir, Gandhi and Manu left by train for Calcutta via Lahore and Patna. At Lahore station, he was greeted by Congress workers who asked when he would come to stay there. The rest of my life is going to be spent in Pakistan, Gandhi promised. Maybe in East Bengal or West Punjab, or perhaps the Northwest Frontier Province. But he could not stop just yet, rushing on to keep promises to Noakhali to return before August 15th. To him, the whole India remained his country, for as he told Bihar's university students in Patna 2 days later, he could not reconcile himself to the idea of partition. He wanted to live both in Hindustan and Pakistan. Both were his homelands. He urged everyone who heard him now to join him in a fast on August 15th. We do not have food, grains, clothes, ghee, or oil. So, where is the need for celebration? On that day, we have to fast, ply the charkha, spinning the wheel, and pray to God. Gandhi reached Calcutta on Sunday, August 10th. He had planned to move on to Noakhali the next morning, but many Muslim friends pleaded with him to stay, fearing renewed attacks by Hindu mobs as that premier city of Clive, Kipling and Curzon was about to begin its much diminished incarceration as the mere capital of partitioned West Bengal. Calcutta's former Muslim majority had by then fallen precipitously to under a quarter of its multi-million population. That Monday evening, August 11, Sohrawardy came to add his voice to the moving appeals of West Bengal's other Muslim leaders. I would remain if you and I are prepared to live together. Gandhi challenged his old friend. We shall have to work till every Hindu and Mussalman in Calcutta feels safe and returns to the place where he was before. This time Sohrawardy agreed. Then they moved into abandoned old Haidari house, symbolizing by their courageous cohabitation the spirit of Hindu-Muslim unity that had so long eluded civil war-torn South Asia. I am struck here and now I am going to take a big risk, Bapu wrote brother Vallabh, alerting Sardar Patel to the dangerous move he had made on the eve of independence. Keep a watch. I will keep on writing. To add to their personal dangers from renewed communal conflict, drought now threatened the entire subcontinent. Monsoon rains, which should have started in June, were as yet nowhere to be seen in the Bay of Bengal's cloudless sky, that hottest of Indian summers. Terrified Hindu and Sikh refugees now marched over the dust-choked plains of Punjab towards Delhi in lines that soon were to stretch as long as 100 miles. Sohrawardy and I are living together in a Muslim manzil in Bulyaghata, Gandhi reported the day after Nehru delivered his famous midnight Tryst with Destiny speech in the packed Central Hall of New Delhi's Parliament, through which Bapu had slept. We end today a period of ill fortune and India discovers herself again, Prime Minister Nehru told his national audience. The future is not one of ease or resting, but of incessant striving so that we might fulfill the pledges we have so often taken. The service of India means the service of the millions who suffer. It means the ending of poverty and ignorance and disease and inequality of opportunity. The ambition of the greatest man of our generation has been to wipe every tear from every eye. That may be beyond us. Then Nehru and Rajendra Prasad went over to the palace of Britain's last Governor General, Lord Mountbatten, to invite him to stay on as India's first Governor General. At this historic moment, let us not forget all that India owes to Mahatma Gandhi, the architect of our freedom through nonviolence. Mountbatten graciously told them, accepting the position he never offered to Gandhi himself as first head of independent India's dominion, adding, "We miss his presence here today." That same day in Calcutta's old Heathery house, Gandhi noted, "Here, in the compound, numberless Hindus and Muslims continue to stream in shouting their favorite slogans." Gandhi was encouraged by the loving enthusiasm of all those Bengalis, Hindus, and Muslims who came to cheer him and free India. We have drunk the poison of mutual hatred, and so this nectar of fraternization tastes all the sweeter, and the sweetness should never wear out. A week later, Nehru wired asking him to bring his healing presence to the Punjab, which was burning with communal hatred, the stench of rotting corpses left in bazaars, overpowering the sweet smells of Lahore's long fabled gardens. "Punjabis in Calcutta tell me a terrible story," he replied to Jawaharlal. "Thousands have been killed. A few thousand girls have been kidnapped. Hindus cannot live in the Pakistan area nor Muslims in the other. Can any of this be true?" Much worse was yet to come. The toxic fallout of partition had only begun to poison all of South Asia. "How can I choose where to go?" frail old Gandhi cried aloud as he read so many desperate wires, all urgently appealing for his help. Mountbatten tried to cheer him with royal flattery. "In the Punjab, we have 55,000 soldiers and large-scale rioting on our hands. In Bengal, our forces consist of one man, and there is no rioting." Mountbatten wrote, "May I be allowed to pay my tribute to the one-man boundary force, not forgetting his second in command, Mr. Suharwardi." Gandhi rightly suspected that the miracle he'd wrought would not last long. Violence struck home on the night of August 31st. Fortunately for Suharwardi, he had returned to live in his own secure house that evening, feeling as proud as Gandhi did for their peace effort. Gandhi was asleep when the angry Hindu mob attacked Heathery House shortly before midnight. They shouted and tossed brickbats throughout the house, through the windows, broke open the compound gate, and battered on the front door. Manu and Abha could not silence them, nor could any of the Muslim servants or the police outside. The mob insisted on seeing Suharwardi, claiming that Muslims stabbed their friends that night in Macha Bazar, bearing a bleeding body with them. "I was in bed," Bapu wrote Brother Walab. "I got up, I went to face the crowd, but the girls would not leave my side. Glass windows were being broken and they started smashing the doors. None of the angry mob would listen to him. Bricks were thrown, but when the police superintendent arrived, the youngsters dispersed." The next day, Gandhi decided to fast. He took water, however, without which he would have died in Calcutta's heat wave in just a few days. What was regarded as a miracle has proved a short-lived 9-day wonder, he informed Patel. Rajaji C.R., now Governor of Bengal, called at night. He admonished me a lot, tried hard to persuade me not to go on a fast. Gandhi could not be dissuaded, however, from a course of action he considered divinely inspired. He always listened to his inner voice and promised to stop fasting only after the riots stopped. If the riots continued, what will I do by merely being alive? What is the use of my living? If I lack even the power to pacify the people, what else is left for me to do? Soharwardi, Sarat Bose, Bengal's Hindu Mahasabha leader, Dabendra Nath Mukherjee, and many other Calcutta politicians came to his bedside, pleading with him to stay alive, promising to do nothing more violent, praying, cajoling, and trying to lure him back from the release he now so passionately sought. On September 4th, at 9:15 p.m., he drank a glass of diluted orange juice after telling those crowded into his room, I am breaking this fast so that I might be able to do something for the Punjab. I am doing so at your assurance, and I expect that the Hindus and Muslims here will not force me to undertake a fast again. To the apologetic young men who bowed silently before him, Gandhi said, act as peace squads without arms. To those he requested a message from him for their peace army party, Shanti Sena Dal, he said, my life is my message. On September 7th, 1947, he entrained for Delhi, eager to move on to Punjab. Chapter 24 Great Soul's Death in Delhi. I knew nothing about the sad state of things in Delhi when I left Calcutta, Gandhi confessed after returning to India's capital on September 9, 1947. He had heard so many stories of Delhi tragedies that day to resolve that I must not leave Delhi for the Punjab until it had regained its former self. Hindu and Sikh refugees from West Punjab brought with them tales of such horror and woe that Delhi itself turned into a killing field against the Muslims, whose families had lived there in peace for centuries. Retaliation is no remedy, Gandhi warned. It makes the original disease much worse. Sardar Patel and Rajkumari Amrit were waiting with several cabinet ministers and thousands of others to greet him at the old Delhi's jammed Shadra station. After alighting from the train, I found others equally sad. Has the city of Delhi, which always appeared gay, turned into a city of the dead? Gandhi wondered as he was driven from the station round the old city. He saw tens of thousands of squatters on the roads and in crowded dark alleys, and heard horror stories in Delhi's Muslim university, the Jamia Millia. Its vice chancellor, Dr. Zakir Hussain, who became India's first Muslim president a quarter century later, told of how he was almost murdered in Punjab. Gandhi lowered his head in shame as he listened to such reports. Then he went to where Hindu and Sikh refugees stayed and heard of the murders of their families by Muslims in Punjab. They asked me how I could comfort them. I would like to tell the refugees that they should live truthfully and without fear, not entertain any thoughts of revenge or hatred, nor throw away the golden apple of freedom won at the great cost. So Gandhi tried in Delhi what he had done in Calcutta and before that in Bihar, appealing openly equally to Hindus and Muslims and Sikhs, urging each to love the others and to abandon arms. He had intended to move back to the old temple near Delhi's Harijan Bhangi quarters, but Nehru and Patel wouldn't hear of it, and Birla insisted he return to his own walled home in the safest part of New Delhi. Birla House had a large garden just behind Gandhi's bedroom and enclosed rear porch where several hundreds could gather each evening to hear his prayers. The argument that finally convinced Gandhi to accept such elegant hospitality was that the Harijan temple was needed for Punjabi refugees. Bapu did not want to have them ordered out to make room for him. On September 16th, when Gandhi's prayer meeting opened with Abha reading from the Quran, an angry young man in the audience rose to shout, "To the recitation of these verses, our mothers and sisters were dishonored, our dear ones killed. We will not let you recite these verses here." Someone else shouted, "Gandhi Murdabad, death to Gandhi." The meeting had to be abandoned and Gandhi returned with the help of his beloved walking sticks to the enclosed rear porch of the Birla house. He tried not to show his frustration at having once again failed to teach love and non-violence to the hate-crazed Hindu refugees from Punjab, flooding daily into Delhi. Today we have all lost our senses. We have become stupid. Gandhi told those who had gathered the next evening to see him. It is not only the Sikhs have gone mad, or only the Hindus or the Muslims. India is today in the plight of the sinking elephant king. I want to rescue it if I can. What should I do? He wanted to go to Pakistan, prepared to die trying to save all Hindus and Sikhs there. He never spoke again of wanting to live 125 years. When one's efforts do not bring forth results, one must dry up like a tree which does not bear fruits. Trains full of Hindu and Sikh corpses kept coming from Pakistan. In the opposite direction rolled other trains choked with the bodies of Muslims trying to flee retaliatory slaughter. Amritsar station was turned into crematorium, the station of Lahore a cemetery. The death toll mounted so swiftly that no one could keep precise count of the butchery. But before year's end, hundreds of thousands of Hindu Sikh corpses rolled east, almost the same number of murdered Muslims moving west. No Punjab train would be cleaned that year of its stench of rotting flesh. Have they all been possessed by some madness? Now, after freedom, Gandhi cried, shall we throw away in our intoxication the freedom which has come after so many sacrifices? How shameful it is! Yet even now, depressed, tired, disgusted and frustrated as he was by everything he saw, read and heard, Gandhi did not abandon his passionate hope that somehow this madness could be stopped. His answer was simple. We must purify ourselves by being courageous. A person who can be courageous would not indulge in such activities. You have the support of your government, he told all who listened to him, reminding them that the British were gone. Now a Congress government ruled New Delhi, and they must have the courage to save India by feeding its hungry, protecting its minorities, and teaching its children to love one another. But few listened now to this frail old Mahatma. His words were either ignored in New Delhi's corridors of power or served to confirm growing feelings that he should make his final pilgrimage to the Himalayas to pray in silence there. We must abandon the idea of taking revenge on the Muslims, he told them. Hindu fanatics now started to call him Mahatma Gandhi. There is a fire raging in Delhi, he said the next day. Every place is burning. It is our duty to extinguish that fire, pour water over it. The glorious land that was India has become a cremation ground today. Gandhi found it impossible to pray in Birla's garden on most evenings, since, in response to his initial question whether anybody objected to a recitation from the Quran, at least one or two hands were raised. So he spoke instead and told of the latest atrocities, which included abductions as well as arson and murder. He also read about Churchill's most recently reported speech on India's fearful massacres, which Churchill insisted came as no surprise to me. He smugly contrasted India's current butcheries perpetrated by races he called cannibals to the previous era of general peace, credited to the British Crown. Gandhi reminded his audience that the vivisection of India was as much Britain's gift as was freedom. He rightly advised Churchill to be more careful about appropriations, blaming and urging him to review and study the situation without prejudice. In the very spirit of fairness, 2 days later, Gandhi told his own government to look after its people or resign. Our government is something which we can strengthen or bring down. That is democracy. That could hardly have cheered Nehru and Patel. Bapu had turned into their most passionate, harshest critic. Gandhi caught the flu but did not stop talking, praying, or seeking to make Delhi a safer, more civilized city. On October 2nd, 1947, to celebrate his 78th birthday, Gandhi fasted. I am surprised and also ashamed that I am still alive, he said, adding that today nobody listens to me. He told friends who came to celebrate his birth that if there is any anger in your hearts, you must remove it. But the violence all across South Asia continued to escalate. Sikhs in India's Patiala state now murdered most of the Muslims who had lived there. What brutalities are going on? What a sequel to Pakistan. People are trying to see that there is no Hindu left in Pakistan and no Muslim in Hindustan. Gandhi groaned as he heard that shocking news. He still hoped, with God's help, to contain the mad hatred he saw in Delhi and tried to hold one more summit with Jinnah. Though he never sought conventional power or any job in India's government, Gandhi had waited within earshot of Nehru and Patel, hoping that they might invite him to replace Lord Mountbatten. It seemed gallingly inappropriate to Gandhi for this British Royal Naval person to remain the ceremonial head of independent India. Now that the cameras had stopped rolling at all the ceremonial speeches and changing of flags, now that virtually all Britain's troops had sailed home, it was surely time for India to have its own Indian Governor General, head of the state, which Gandhi knew he deserved to be. He had playfully suggested several times that a Harijan girl would be India's best president. Yet, each time he said that, he added how happy he would be to serve as her unpaid advisor or secretary. Those who understood Gandhi knew why he said that, and also why he now bemoaned the fact that no one listened to him any longer. What to Gandhi must have been doubly galling, moreover, was that Jinnah had taken over Pakistan's Governor General from his nation's birth, refusing to acquiesce to Mountbatten's vain attempts to persuade him that he be permitted to serve both dominions jointly as Supreme Governor General. Were Gandhi India's Governor General, now he could easily have launched another summit with his old friend Jinnah. Together they might have been able to agree on a formula to stop the slaughter, Gandhi's most passionate aspiration. If we wish to bring about the rule of God or Rama Rajya in India, I would suggest that our first task is to magnify our own faults and find no faults with the Muslims. Gandhi announced to his prayer meeting 2 weeks after his birthday and 1 week before the first Indo-Pak war over Kashmir started. I do not say that the Muslims have done no wrong. They have caused a lot of harm. But if I start thinking about those wrongs, I shall go crazy and I shall not be able to serve India. What if I begin to think that I have no enemies and expose my own faults before the world and close my eyes to those of others? Gandhi had met with Mountbatten earlier that day, and after asking him about the situation in Delhi, I had to hang my head in shame, for even now the Hindus and the Muslims are not one at heart. Today my wings are clipped. If I could grow my wings again, I would fly to Pakistan. Mountbatten had sense enough to realize that Gandhi truly deserved the job he retained as the historic hangover of his previous position as Viceroy. And Mountbatten was keen to go back to command his fleet at sea. He had, after all, completed the mission Attlee had given him, withdrawing British forces from India without losing a man and transferring Britain's sovereignty to two dominions. Time for him to move on. Delhi was much too hot and dry, so Mountbatten was quite ready to let the old man, whom he never really understood but who had done rather well in keeping Calcutta more or less calm, take over as India's Governor General. Every Indian spoke of him as father of the nation, after all. So why not let him end his life at its head as its head of state? But Nehru, who had just come to look up to Mountbatten for martial advice and strategic support, as well as assistance in dealing with many delicate problems of the state, rejected the idea of having Gandhi as his Governor General even more vehemently than he'd vetoed Gandhi's Jinnah scheme a year earlier. Nehru never forgot that Gandhi believed Jinnah would have been a better Prime Minister of India than he was. With so many horrors of partition now grotesquely revealed, Gandhi knew Bapu had been right after all. So, less than a week after Mountbatten met with Gandhi and told him of his desire to retire from the Governor Generalship of India, Gandhi wrote him the most painful dear friend letter of his life. I have spoken to Pandit Nehru, but he is adamant. He is firmly of the opinion that no change should be made until the weather has cleared. If it does, it may take 2 or 3 months. The weather was the havoc wrought by partition's hurricane and the chaos left strewn across North India by tornadoes of intolerance. That would take more than 3 months to clear, but 3 months was now all Gandhi had left. There would be no further summit with Jinnah, no flight to Pakistan, no Governor General Gandhi. In late October, fighting started over the Muslim majority state of Jammu and Kashmir, whose Hindu Maharaja Hari Singh refused to join either India or Pakistan. I am aware of what is happening in Kashmir, Gandhi told his prayer meeting on October 26th, but I know only what has appeared in the newspapers. India's press reported that 3 days earlier, several thousand Afridi Pathan tribals of the northwest frontier province had invaded Kashmir state and indulged in large-scale loot, arson, and murder. It was also reported that Pakistan was trying to coerce Kashmir into joining the dominion of Pakistan. This should not be so, Gandhi insisted. It is not possible to take anything from anyone by force. While no one should be forced into anything, however, he repeated what he had said before, that Kashmir's real rulers were its people, not its Maharaja. If the people of Kashmir are in favor of opting for Pakistan, no power on earth can stop them from doing so. But they should be left free to decide for themselves. True Democrat that he was, Gandhi favored self-determination for Kashmir as much as he had for India, but he always remained opposed to violent coercion by any power. Nehru had clipped Gandhi's wings, however, and in all questions concerning India's Kashmir policy, Pandit Nehru listened to no one. Though his Brahman ancestors had left Jammu and Kashmir state more than a century before he was born, Jawaharlal Nehru romantically identified himself as Kashmiri and resolved never to surrender that state to Pakistan, no matter how high the price India might have to pay for its retention.